No one in the wider galaxy believed there existed anything harsher than the world called Korath 9. In countless archives, it was ranked above every other danger class for a simple reason. Nothing survived there unless it was born clawing at the sky. Korath's storms struck like molten metal. The forests were filled with vines that hunted by vibration. Even the oceans boiled in places where volcanic vents erupted without warning. Yet a species rose from that world. They called themselves the Dravik. For centuries, they had assumed they were unmatched. Their hides resisted plasma. Their strength split iron. Their vision pierced smoke and shadow. They believed they stood at the top of the known universe. This belief remained unchallenged until the day they detected a human research ship drifting in neutral space. The vessel was small, slow, and old by their standards. The Dravik War Council gathered to observe it. They expected to see a feeble race who stumbled carelessly into the void. Commander Ralvik, known for leading the siege of 3 fortress moons, crossed his arms as the images came in. The humans inside the ship were walking calmly from panel to panel. They wore fabric suits. Their hands were bare. Their movements seemed relaxed. Ralvik tilted his head. Everything about them looked fragile and strangely peaceful. He judged them instantly. They were prey. The War Council agreed. They decided to seize the vessel. A scouting party boarded the human ship. They expected screams. They expected trembling. They expected easy victory. Instead, the humans welcomed them with hand gestures and open devices that projected greetings in multiple languages. The crew's leader, a man named Leon, stood at the front. He had soft-looking skin, short dark hair, and a stance so casual it looked careless. When a Dravik warrior stepped forward to test him, Leon raised his hand slightly and smiled. For a moment, the warriors hesitated. Something in that calm expression made even the fiercest among them step back half a stride. But the mission was clear. They captured the humans and brought them to Korath 9 for evaluation. Ralvik watched as the humans were placed in an observation chamber. Dozens of Dravik scientists recorded their heart rates and stress levels. They expected panic. Yet Leon and his team simply examined the walls and spoke quietly among themselves. The Dravik could not understand why. Ralvik entered the chamber personally. The floor trembled beneath his weight. His shadow covered Leon. He wanted to show dominance. He growled a greeting. Leon looked up and nodded lightly, as if he met a neighbor on a morning walk. That simple gesture unsettled the commander. Ralvik asked how humans managed to survive without natural weapons. Leon answered with patience. Humans relied on tools, problem-solving, and cooperation. When Ralvik demanded proof, Leon's mild expression did not change. He asked if he could demonstrate under controlled conditions. The scientists agreed because they wanted entertainment. They wanted to see soft creatures fail. They placed Leon and 2 Dravik warriors in a training arena filled with mechanical threats. Blades moved across the ground. Walls shifted. Heat vents erupted. The warriors prepared to tear their opponent apart. Leon adjusted a belt around his waist. He studied every moving piece with sharp attention. When the trial began, he did not roar or charge. He simply moved. He ducked under a spinning blade with perfect timing. He used shifting walls as cover. He positioned himself where the machines malfunctioned due to heat. He even beckoned one warrior forward. The moment the warrior stepped in, the floor panel collapsed and the warrior fell into a containment pit. Leon had predicted the cycle by observing tiny vibrations. The other warrior lunged at him. Leon avoided the attack by a narrow margin. He used the warrior's momentum to cause him to slam into a wall. Leon never struck back. He simply guided the movements around him like a dancer who knew the rhythm of chaos. When the trial ended, Leon stood unharmed. The arena systems powered down. The Dravik observers were silent. Ralvik stared at him. Leon's breathing was steady. No signs of fear existed in his eyes. This was the moment that Dravik realized something dangerous. Humans did not need sharp claws or armored skin. They had something far more unpredictable. They adapted to anything. Word spread quickly through the Dravik Empire. Some laughed at the idea. Others felt unease. They did not understand how a species from a less hostile world survived so naturally against engineered threats. The War Council decided to test humans in a more extreme environment. They sent Leon and his team into the Koroth jungles under supervision. Ralvik followed to observe. The jungle was a nightmare. Vines that sensed breath tightened like snakes. Insects with blades for legs leaped from high branches. The ground shook with hidden predators that hunted beneath the soil. The Dravik expected humans to fall, yet Leon studied every sound, every vibration, every shift in air pressure. He warned his team moments before vines struck. He motioned his group to avoid certain paths because he noticed disturbed soil. He crafted makeshift tools from branches and minerals to distract predators. He even guided the Dravik escort out of a quicksand pool by forming a stable branch lattice under their feet. No fear, no panic dot when they returned from the jungle. The escorting Dravik spoke quietly among themselves. Some whispered that humans were not prey. They were something new, something unpredictable. The next days unfolded with growing tension. Leon continued to show calm curiosity. He asked questions about Dravik culture. He complimented their engineering. He even shared human food with the guards. Many of them tasted it and were surprised that something so mild could be pleasant. But the turning point came during a seismic eruption. Koroth 9 shifted violently. Buildings trembled. The main research complex cracked at the foundation. Lava vents began to open. Everyone panicked except Leon. He grabbed Ralvik by the arm and told him to move toward the west side of the compound because the ground structure was stronger there. Ralvik hesitated. No one gave him orders. Yet Leon's tone carried certainty, not arrogance. The floor collapsed behind them moments later. If they had stayed, they would have fallen into a molten fissure. Ralvik stared at Leon as rescue crews arrived. The human was covered in dust, yet unshaken. Ralvik realized that humans were not fragile. They were resilient beyond logic. That night, a private meeting was called. The highest council demanded Ralvik's report. He told them everything. He explained how humans saw danger before others noticed it. He described their ability to solve problems instantly. He spoke of their steady emotions under threat. He concluded that humans were a new kind of strength, one that did not come from raw power, but from adaptability. The council was divided. Some feared humans. Some wanted to ally with them. Some wanted to conquer them before they grew too influential. Ralvik suggested a peaceful approach. The council voted to send diplomats to Earth. Leon and his team returned home with Dravik envoys. When they arrived on Earth, the Dravik expected giant cities of war machines. Instead, they found a world full of creativity. Mountains carved into observatories. Oceans traveled by vessels large and small. Fields tended with care. Humans laughed, argued, built, shaped, and dreamed. The Dravik envoys were puzzled. How could such a gentle-looking world produce a species capable of surviving? Koroth 9. Ralvik walked through an Earth city beside Leon. He noticed the variety of humans. Some strong, some slender, some young, some old, all with bright eyes, all moving with a confidence that seemed built into their nature. He realized that humans did not fear life. They embraced it. Leon took him to a human research facility where scientists cooperated freely. Ralvik observed how humans debated passionately yet respectfully. They pushed each other to find better solutions. They built technology not only to survive, but to explore and connect. Ralvik finally understood the truth. The strongest species was not the one who endured the worst world. It was the one who chose to reach beyond it. Later that evening, Earth hosted a welcome gathering. The Dravik envoys sat among humans at a long table. Leon introduced them to his friends. He explained humanity's hopeful nature. Ralvik listened carefully. He found himself relaxing for the first time in years. These humans seemed to shine with determination and warmth. A gust of wind carried the sound of laughter across the balcony. Ralvik watched humans share stories with Dravik warriors. He saw curious children ask questions without fear. He noticed how naturally humans accepted strangers from the Deathworld without hesitation. Ralvik realized something incredible. Humans treated danger as a challenge. They treated strangers as potential allies. They treated life as a journey rather than a battlefield. At the end of the gathering, Leon asked Ralvik if he believed peace between their species was possible. Ralvik thought for a long moment. Then he answered. Peace was possible because humanity offered something he never expected. Respect. The Dravik returned to Korath 9 with new understanding. The Empire changed slowly. They opened trade agreements. They exchanged technology. They sent young warriors to Earth academies where they learned problem-solving and cooperative strategy. Humans traveled to Korath 9 to study survival and resilience. The two species grew stronger together. Years passed. Unity deepened. When a catastrophic starquake threatened a distant colony, both humans and Dravik responded instantly. Human engineers built stabilization towers, while Dravik shielded them from falling debris. Leon and Ralvik stood side by side. They